Meltdown presents The Disney Click with Rick and Briers. This podcast is sponsored by Meltdown Comics and Collectibles in Hollywood, California. Find Meltdown on meltcomics.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Disney Click with your hosts.
I'm Rick.
And I am Briers.
Hey guys.
Welcome back.
Yep, we're happy to be here. Hope you are too. What do we have on this fine show, Briers?
On this fine show, we have our top 5, and this time it is top 5 Disney villains. We're going dark, right? Isn't that exciting?
As dark as we possibly can.
Just in time for the holidays.
Yeah.
Bringing
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, holiday
Happy
cheer.
New Year.
Let's talk about
Villains.
the characters that bring the darkness.
We are about a month and a half late here, you realize. Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just saying. Other shows are talking about Christmas and Star Wars.
Not
and
us.
We're going to be talking
Not
about
the Disney
villains.
Click.
Yeah.
We're dark. No, it's fun. They're fun characters, and sometimes, they fly under the radar, and there's usually one, if not more, in every film. So there's...
Absolutely. I agree.
A lot to mine from.
Okay.
And then after that, we're going to do a little segment called, do we have a name for it?
It's kind of a throwback, the Disney Vault or something.
Disney
I'm not
Vault.
sure. I don't know if it would be Disney Vault exactly, but it's what would you call it? A Disney World 25 years later or 25 years previous?
Prior? Quarter century ago.
Yeah.
Oof. I have a guidebook from Steve, is it Birnbaum? Am I saying that right?
I believe that's right.
Yeah, Steve Birnbaum, he's writes some good guidebooks. He wrote a Walt Disney World official guidebook, and we have a 1990 version of that. And we've done a little research and just to kind of see, what was different exactly before it's 2016, 25 years ago.
Not much has changed, though, right? It's Walt Disney World's still in Florida. And
the
sun's
basics
still
are the
shining.
same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a Magic Kingdom still.
Yeah, Magic.
Okay.
Magic Kingdom was around.
That's my joking.
Oh, okay.
She's not. Brian is not picking up on my dry humor, if you can call it humor, but yes.
But we're still best friends.
Besties for life.
Faux life. Yeah, so it's kind of fun, and I love. There's a lot of black and white photos. I don't know if they were on a budget, or if that was just how they rolled in 1990. Who needs color printing? I don't know. But yeah, it's just fun and to compare.
There's color in the guidebook, mind you. It's just not the pictures are not. I see some orangish red going on.
Oh
there
yeah, like each park
purple
is themed by a color,
yes,
and I didn't read too deep into those colors.
Right. I know we're fascinating you here with our breakdown of the colors from the Walt Disney World
Everyone's
guidebook.
going to want a copy of this
I know,
book.
like
Too
oh
bad.
My gosh, I can't wait for this episode.
It's limited edition.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll be sure to get a photo of it up on Instagram and Twitter along when this episode comes out.
Right. And I want to start real quick with this episode. We are recording this the day of or the day before Star Wars opens nationally on the 18th. So while everybody else is going to be talking about Star Wars and how it was, and we are a little bit ahead of the game here. So I'm going to see it shortly at the Mann's Chinese Theater, but we are not going to be talking about our feelings of the new Star Wars like everybody else. So
but
for that, I
maybe people
apologize.
might feel like there's some, oversaturation. So we'll give you a break.
That's right.
You want a break from Star Wars?
And we couldn't spoil it
Listen to
anyway.
this episode.
I wouldn't want to spoil.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
never.
want to spoil
Oh my
Force
gosh.
Awakens.
No.
But I'm very excited for it, and it's getting very good reviews. Last I checked, it was over I think 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. And people seem to be loving it and calling it, exactly what the fans wanted and the throwback. And JJ's done well,
Mr. Abrams.
So it's, I feel like Briers. I like JJ Abrams, but I kind of feel like Briers doesn't want to insult the directors because those are the people who are going to get the jobs to Briers someday.
No, I truly think JJ's.
Give me a director you don't like,
wonderful.
A big director now you don't like. Just curious.
Gosh.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I know, and all I'm thinking of is like films I do like. We were just speaking about David O. Russell.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, his movies feel rushed to me, like they were made quickly. And if you read about them, they were. So
it feels how they made. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I was just curious
feels
if
like
you had...
he threw the script together and let his actors improvise half the lines. And that's what happened.
Well, that's not the case with The Force Awakens.
Guess I'm not going to be your next muse after J-Law.
Yeah, the case with The Force Awakens, a lot of sold out shows for weeks in LA. At least they're sold out for weeks on end, and people. This is just a phenomenon, and
it's exciting.
I really think this is going to break
really
the record, the domestic record, which I think is over 600 million by Titanic. I want to say.
I think it's
domestic.
It's held that record for that long. That's amazing.
I believe it's still. Well, it was. People have to see it time and time again. It's got to be at the top of the box office. Very few films can do that. I think now in this market.
That people want to return and see and spend the money, and people are going to want to go back and see it again.
It's like you almost have to see it
in different versions. See it in 3D. See it in IMAX. See it just straight up.
You almost have to see it. It feels like it's like you're not American. You're un-American if you don't see this. It feels like. I'm not saying I feel that way, but it kind of feels that way to me.
Yeah, I'm busy and can't see it in the first 48 hours, maybe 72, and I feel like I can't leave my house or talk to people, that I'm going to be behind the times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I feel a little...
If any film deserves it, it's probably this one, truth be told. I get it, and I'm
deserves the hype.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I joke a lot on Twitter about it, and so it's but I mean, this is so many people's childhood and memories, and means so much to them as far as a film go. It's Jaws.
Sadly, my childhood is the first three, so this is it's
sorry.
We're righting the ship, though. No, it feels like in my lifetime we're fixing that.
But like nice. Jaws and Star Wars are kind of the beginning of the blockbuster era in movies, and
it's back.
And yeah, it's just kind of cool, and I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. By the time you guys hear this, I will have seen it and hopefully loved it. As I said, Man's Chinese Theater, the place where the premiere happened many years ago. It's just very cool. I think it premiered there. I'm in my mind.
I'd like to see it at the ArcLight. I love the Cinerama Dome.
Right. People might correct me. It might have premiered in Westwood, the Village, but I think it premiered at the Chinese Theater. I'm fairly certain of that. But you tell me, loyal listeners out there, if I'm incorrect, that it started the Man's Chinese in Hollywood. So anyway.
Hashtag The Force Awakens.
Yes. Nobody else is using the hashtag Force Awakens.
It's not trending yet, so
not a big deal right now. Anyway, so that's pretty much, well, you might hear a little Star Wars mention here and there. That's our Star Wars. So if you're tuning in to hear about Star Wars, this is not the podcast this time for you.
But if you need a breather.
If you need a breather and are tired of Star Wars.
Welcome.
Yeah.
This is a safe place.
Come in. This is where you want to be at. Because we're not talking too much Star Wars.
No, we're not.
Briers wouldn't let me. Just kidding. She's looking at me like, how dare you?
I love Star Wars more than I think that comes across. But what can you do?
Okay.
Public image. It's going to be what it is.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the list.
Yes.
And now, the Disney list.
Okay, our top 5 this week is top 5 Disney villains. Would you like to start us out? I feel like this is right up your alley. You love...
Well, it's interesting enough. I'm going to drop Star Wars here. We talked way back when about favorite Star Wars characters, and I remember there being a very big villain element on my list.
Yes.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So
mine was all the bad boys.
Yeah, I like the villains. I think villains make a movie oftentimes, and without a good villain, a movie can't be quite as good as as those
I
that
noticed,
do have the good.
For my criteria, the villains that I chose were ones that without them the film would not be the same. That they contributed so much, bringing, whether it was humor or they were so dark and that they were genuinely scary or did terrible things. Whereas there are some films like Frozen where there's not a clear villain or anyone that really contributes villain-wise.
I don't know. I guess I feel I can guess I'm safe to say I didn't put Hans on my on my list.
Right.
But
because you could take Hans out and still have an interesting film.
But I like Hans as a villain. I like him because it's not in your
okay.
But it's not in your face as a villain. He's really not known to be a villain until probably about 2/3 into the film. Would you say?
Okay, so because he's a secretive, because he's personality.
It's kind of like he kind of represents the duplicitous individual who you think is your friend or think is who, and it's not who you expect them to be.
Yeah, it's a fun twist.
And you don't see that a lot in Disney films. The Disney films, it tends to be the villain is up front and you know they're the villain.
Yeah, I'm looking at all my villains and they're all in your face.
Yeah,
so that's what I like about them.
So I happen to kind of appreciate Hans, and while he didn't make my top 5, he was in the running for a mention. So and I will also say that I thought that there weren't as many. There were a lot of villains, but there weren't as many that this wasn't that hard for me.
No.
And I didn't come in here thinking anything. Perhaps maybe 1 or 2 I thought of, but otherwise I was like, oh boy, this is going to be hard. There's a lot. And then I got down and said, no, this one.
As soon as I would see certain ones, like, oh, you're in my top 5. Yeah. Oh, you have to be.
Right. So I thought there was more villains
I didn't really
out
have
there.
Any honorable mentions. These are my 5.
Okay. So let's go with my number 5, right? You said?
Yes.
I'm going with Lady Tremaine from Cinderella. Yeah, I voiced.
You don't hear her called that. The stepmother.
That's the wicked stepmother.
Okay, yeah, I was like, who? Ooh, I don't know any of the villains.
Eleanor Audley was the voiceover for this character, or the voice for this character. I think she is different than a lot of other villains. That she is kind of real evil. She is subtle,
like runs through her
subtle
veins.
evil. There are real wicked stepmothers out there. I picture who this person is. She's like Miranda from Devil Wears Prada. That kind of they almost kind of could be the same person in a way. Like it's just ice running. They through
don't
their
ever
veins.
yell. It's just like with their stares.
Exactly.
With her, I just instantly envision how she's drawn and how her hair is in that
tight
taut
bun,
updo,
right.
And the arched eyebrows, and everything is so severe, and she just never looks like a pleasant person. And there are people in
even
the world
when she's
that
in
just
like
can
lying
never
in bed, she's
smile
like that.
And are never happy.
Yeah. She's just you don't like her. And
Ever.
Cinderella is just so sweet, almost too much of a
pushover.
A doormat or whatever. But she is just treats Cinderella so badly, and your heart just goes out to Cinderella and just evil, like evil, but not evil, sorcery evil or killing anybody directly evil. Just these little things that add up that, go, do the dishes, do this, not letting her have any fun. It's just, she sucks.
She does.
She
really
really
sucks the joy out of life, literally.
Yeah. So I that's my number 5. I don't know.
Interesting.
Your number 5.
My number 5 is Jafar from Aladdin, 1992, voiced by Jonathan Freeman. And I don't know, Jafar, he was kind of unexpected on my list, but he was one where he's very prevalent throughout the film, like from opening to ending with his little bird and creating the cave. And he's there, and then I really think of the end. That scene has that film has a third act that it goes on for so long, and Jafar has his like takeover where he turns into a snake and is just, I don't know, he has so much power as a villain, and he's just he literally takes over poor Jasmine's household and family.
Well, he's one of the villains who is in the house. He interacts with the characters, and he's duplicitous as well. We talked a little bit about Hans. He's kind of there, and although we know that this guy is a bad guy, and that's the difference between Frozen Hans and Jafar and Aladdin is we know he's bad, but they're clueless. Like they maybe don't like him or think he's great, Jasmine, but he's a bad dude, and he's living among them. So he's an evil guy.
He's very evil.
Yeah. And I like Aladdin too, so I like that. Jafar's not on my list. He brings
a fun like spice to it for.
Yeah, I don't think he's the. Some villains tend to be a little funnier in a way. I don't think Jafar's particularly funny.
The rest are a lot more of the ones. I chose a handful that are very funny.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think my number 4. I think you're gonna have and probably have it fairly high. I'm not doing it on purpose.
Okay, I'm curious.
I don't know, because it's from your favorite film, which is Scar. Scar is my number 4. It's on our list. I can tell by the smile.
List.
Yeah, I can. Scar is. we've talked. I like The Lion King. I don't love it as much as others, but I do think he creates a great foil for, like, he puts everything into motion that happens from Mufasa's death to from there on. Just
he's dark.
He's very dark.
Dark man.
He's very dark. He's sarcastic. He
murders his brother.
Right. Jeremy Irons plays it well. I assume you know this, but Jim Cummings does the singing for it on. Jeremy Irons apparently hurt his voice, and he wasn't
like the singing?
He was unable to do the singing.
I don't know if I knew it was someone else.
That's my understanding.
He does such a great that song is so great.
Yeah, so it's he's just so kind of droll and sarcastic and mean, and even when little Simba comes up and is pouncing on him, and I'm almost waiting for Scar to just like
kill him right
eat
there.
Simba right there. Like it doesn't happen. Zazu
it's a truly great voice performance, and that enhances it.
Oh, totally.
I have some trivia, but I can wait and share that.
That's fine. But I don't want to say steal your thunder. But I think he's a very good villain, and he really makes makes it work. He makes the whole story work, and if he wasn't what he is, it wouldn't work as well as it does.
No.
So your number 4.
My number 4 is Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians, 1961, voiced by Betty Lou Gerson. Guessing that is pronounced. And I guess I could also, there is a little levity to this character that's brought on by oh goodness, now I'm blanking on her name. Playing it in the live action version. Glenn Close.
Glenn Close. Oh, I was trying to figure out what you were saying. Okay.
Sorry, yes. Glenn Close did such, I think, an amazing job with the live action version. She brought, kind of revived the character because it's an older film, early 60s, but truly a film where you can't think of 101 Dalmatians. You don't really think of the puppies and dogs that much as you think of. She's one where she's a villain and she runs the show.
Yeah, I think
it's her movie.
I think you identify 101 Dalmatians and think Cruella de Vil more so than a lot of these other ones. I agree.
And it's such an interesting character because she just lives a normal life and lives out in public and runs a fashion company and just is a little crazy because she wants to kill all these dogs and skin them. So it's an interesting, she's a fully functioning villain.
Right.
But also truly psychotic.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I would say I like the Cruella de Vil is a good one. 101 Dalmatians is probably not near the top of my list as far as animated films, but I like her as a villain.
Oh, as a villain, she stands out.
Where I like the villain better than I like the movie.
Exactly. I would say as well. Yeah. And a great entrance if I'm remembering correctly, in the cartoon and the film with her Rolls Royce coming up and stepping out and the pan up of her outlandish
with the cigarette
the cigarette, and she's so
would that happen
scary
now?
Thin with her big fur vest. It's fabulous.
Do animated villains have cigarettes anymore, or cigars?
There's probably rules against that. Yeah, smoking.
I mean, they're not rules, but I wonder if that changes the rating at all, or Disney just doesn't want to do that anymore. I don't know.
No, I think there are they've set their own rules, or at least smoking in films is a mark towards moving past PG.
In animated films.
In all film.
Right. No, but I'm talking about in animated especially, I would think that.
Because it's usually geared towards children.
Although you can get away with more in animation, so I wonder if it changes a little bit.
It's it's not real.
Yeah.
It's a hand-drawn cigarette. Right. I don't know. She smokes that whole movie.
Yeah, right?
She doesn't stop.
Long, sticky thing.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. She's just such a character. She's a true character. And it's, like I said, it's her movie. The puppies are just living in it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Without Cruella de Vil, you don't have 101 Dalmatians.
I agree. We agree.
Look at
that. All right. Yes. High five. All right.
We high-fived.
Number 3 for me is one that I think Briers would guess is on mine because I've talked about him before. It's Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. You were going to say.
Well, I was from remembering the musical episode, and his song was your number one. So
I think
gotta like Gaston.
Gaston he is so he's no magical powers. His evilness comes from his vanity, his narcissisticness, and whatever you want. He just expects everything to be given to him and everybody to love him. And as
he's
a girl,
so you're just it's annoying how he just treats Belle. Yeah.
Right, and to me, it makes a great villain. This normal, supposedly good-looking guy is everything that is kind of encompasses the bad guy to me, and that is so cool. Another thing yet I love about Beauty and the Beast is what they do with him, and he's not a sorcerer, he's not a Jafar, he's not a a lot of these people. He's flamboyant, I guess, in his own manly way, but he's just he's
the worst.
Yeah, he's just not a good guy. He's not a good guy.
And even how he still just refuses to believe that Belle could love the Beast. He's so deep in his narcissism and belief in how great he is. It's like there's no way that this girl will choose the Beast, and he's just so revolted by the Beast. He's just a bad guy.
Yeah, right. And
I don't like him. I mean, maybe he should be on my list because I
don't
don't know.
Really like him.
My criteria is
I love the song he sings. You don't like it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that.
And I don't like when he's in the movie. I'm kind of like, get back to the lovebirds.
See, and I love when he's in the movie because I love to hate him. So there you go. My number. He's not on your list apparently. What's your? We're gonna have crossover here. We're gonna have more crossover. I just know that.
Really?
I think so. Maybe not. We haven't had a crossover outside of Scar, which I thought.
Now we're moving 3, 2, and 1. I could have all been my number one.
Okay.
So go with it.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
My number 3 is Hades, Lord of the Underworld from
list.
Hercules.
I like his character design. I like his look.
Oh my gosh.
His villain isn't memorable to me, but his look is very memorable.
Watch it again, and he's the star of the film. James Woods voiced him, and I've got some cool trivia. Hades was scripted originally as a slow, menacing character I'm
sorry. Go ahead. I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know until James Woods took the role and impressed the crew with his rapid fire style. And even after the script was written, Woods ad-libbed many of the lines. And he's not your typical villain. He comes in and it's like he knows he's funny and doing stand-up almost. He's just riffing on, what it's like in the underworld, and he's like, we're here, we're gone, blah, 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 blah. And he just has this style to him that's so unusual.
Do you think it came after Aladdin? Do you think he kind of was influenced by Robin Williams' Genie at all in sort of how his character was?
No.
I know they're different, but the rapid fire thing is very much Robin Williams.
Yeah, but it's from like the Genie is so darn positive and encouraging. He's like your best friend. He's like rooting for the guy, rooting for Aladdin, and literally turns into a cheerleader at one point. And Hades, it's pure like disgust at the world. I don't have time. It's just a completely different like shift downward. I feel like it's entirely different, and I feel like it's again judging on or coming from what they said about working with James Woods, it feels like he was bringing his own sensibility, which was just like dry, just the driest of dry senses of humor. I think he's brilliant as it, and he makes the film is lackluster. It's not one of my favorites, but Hades is hilarious, and I think
you mentioned Little Things because you like the song from it as well. You like Hades.
Yeah, I like Little Things. It's like the way it comes together. I love the music. The music in Hades would be
2 things you like from it.
All the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I should mention.
Watch it again.
I will. I need it's
the
one
kids
that
don't get it. I think that's the thing is
right.
His humor is all for adults. Whereas I think Genie's a little more like there's some shtick for the children, and then there's some more highbrow jokes that only the adults will get.
I need to go back and watch it again and watch with the kids. Curious what my kids' reaction to be.
Go the distance.
I will say
Hercules reference.
Richard White was the voice of Gaston. I failed to say, and he deserves a lot of credit. So
singing and
yes. Everybody here, I think, outside of Jeremy Irons are the
there was that period of. I would say in the 90s, like Mulan and Pocahontas, they're all voiced and sung by different people.
Interesting.
Well,
everybody on my
thread.
list. I think everybody on my list is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting that they would, I know Mandy Moore did the voice and the singing voice.
Well, that was the beginning of bringing it back and being
right.
like, well, let's just choose, even if they happen to be mini celebrities like Idina Menzel or something, there's enough talent out there that can sing that's well known.
I think one thing that like Disney Channel has a lot of young stars on Disney Channel, and I think one of the requirements, not all, but one of the requirements is they all need to be able to sing. Like,
and dance. They just want you to be really talented.
They want you to be
cross-promoted. They can market you in a music video.
Yeah.
And
it seems to be a common thing. So
totally.
Don't be at Disney. I'm sure it's not completely the case, but if you can't sing, you have less of a chance to be in a Disney anime movie or a Disney.
Or hide it during your audition for the show. Like,
I can sing.
Yeah, I'm just my voice right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Makeup eyes.
All right. Well,
Number 2.
Number 2 is Ursula. Ursula and the Little Mermaid. I love her character design. She's so menacing to me. Like the idea of a first of all, an 8-legged octopus with a woman's torso on top. It's so creepy and scary to me, and menacing. Yet, somehow Ariel's sucked into this. It's not even her strength that is her power. Her power is her power of words. She has a way of convincing, poor gullible Ariel or whoever, all these other poor unfortunate souls, right?
She's got so many great lines.
Yeah. Just she's wonderful. And I love her animatronic in the Little Mermaid ride at Disneyland and Disney World. It's such a cool animatronic.
They made her.
Yeah, right.
So
she's such a good villain. She's such a good villain in a good movie. Once again, very important. The movie doesn't happen without Ursula, and she's so scheming. And although we can see it, and it's a little bit paper thin, and I'm going to steal your voice, and now I'm going to turn into Vanessa, and Pat Carroll's the voice of Ursula, by the way. But she does a wonderful job, and she's just evil. I wish she didn't die at the end of the movie. I wish she were stuck around. Not that we're getting sequels, but I don't know. I wish she could have been captured.
Sequel.
There were sequels,
like Ariel's little sister.
Yeah, it might have been a prequel. I don't know. It's direct to video. I kind of don't.
I don't.
Count.
Yeah, I don't either. So I apologize.
But I like these villains to stick around a little bit. I don't mind recycling villains if they have a good story. The Loki effect, if you will, in Avengers, one of the best villains, and he sticks around and creates a good foil. So yeah, Ursula is a big one for me. And that's my number 2.
She was not on mine, but I considered her. I think she is an exceptionally strong villain. And she's just super memorable. And like every scene she's in pops. And it's interesting you said the ride, because I was going to mention that. That's one of my favorite parts of that ride is her little segment, because they created like a monster.
Right.
She's so huge and just blubbery, and it's crazy what they created. They brought her to life, truly.
It's my favorite room, I think. And
just how you shift into it with her eel guys, the eels or...
Yeah, Flotsam and Jetsam.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Very good.
Well done.
All right. I'm curious if your number 2 is going to be my number 1.
I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe not. Then.
I don't think so.
We might have crossover. If your number 2 is not my number 1, we're not going to have any more
zero
crossover.
What? What we would have zero.
We had Scar.
Yeah.
That's why I said your number 2.
Okay. So my number 2 is Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove.
I like this. You're going a little bit slightly more obscure here. It's nice. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Emperor's New Groove.
But I stand by these villains.
Okay. Emperor's New Groove is I haven't seen it much, but it's a good movie.
Underrated.
Yes, I agree.
And as I was doing the research and thing, I was like, people are going to maybe be like, Emperor's New Groove, underrated. 2000 film. And I was reading. I guess the production was a little questionable on it. It had some shaky moments, maybe akin to like Good Dinosaur type stuff of rewrites and shuffling with production. I mean, 2000, it was during some troublesome years, but it is such a funny movie. I mean, John Goodman actually has a voice in it, which is interesting.
It might have been.
Same as Sully.
Emperor's New Groove might have been one of the few like half-decent Pixar animated films that non-Pixar in that era. There weren't a lot, right?
Yeah, there weren't a lot, and I would put it up as the number 1. I don't know if any. It is so funny, and as a villain, she is hysterical. I guess he's not a true villain because he ends up kind of being good, but her sidekick Kronk takes just as much credit and helps make her as interesting as she is. And so voiced by Eartha Kitt, this really interesting older woman with this raspy voice, and just every scene she's in is hysterical because she's a true like Disney villain, ruthless to the end, but her sidekick is this idiot and they just can't do anything right. And it's just such a funny film. It's worth revisiting.
There is a tradition of idiot sidekicks for the villains. I will say that. It's not just the heroes that have protagonists.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people remember what she looks like. Google it if you haven't seen the film or you've forgotten. She's this like ancient woman. I mean, like the wrinkles are like falling off her face. She's rail thin, almost maybe related to Cruella de Vil in size, and purple, and just like there's a point where she has cucumbers on her eyes because she's getting a facial or something, and she just always looks like haggard, and she's fun. Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah,
I like
and
the
hysterical.
theory.
I like the humor. I go for the funny villains, I think, in some of my choices.
Nice choice. Emperor's New Groove is not one that I would I think of, but bringing back good memories of the film. So
now I'm interested to see.
Oh, my number one I thought would be on your list somewhere. Actually, pretty obvious. I think this villain is.
No idea.
I think this villain is very iconic within the Disney animated world.
Oh,
you know who it is?
Maleficent.
Yeah, Maleficent.
Yeah, and I don't like her.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So she's not on my list.
Yeah, all right. Maleficent is. It's why I'm a little bit annoyed at the live action Angelina Jolie movie, who I think played her very well. She acted it very well. The story is like she is supposed to be bad, and that movie turned her into gave her a reason why she's bad. Oh, she's not so bad anymore. That bugged me. I just want her I want to think of her as this just evil sorceress.
I get that, yeah.
And I love the horns and just that face and I'm not a huge Sleeping Beauty fan
That's
in the scheme of
my
things.
problem.
But
yeah.
I love Maleficent. I love just the vibe to her, and she just comes in there and this great baby, this new baby, and she's gonna basically damn this baby, when she turns 16.
Yeah.
So it's wow.
She's the favorite in the. I think for most people and within the parks during Halloween, she's pushed hardcore in the advertising, and I think with being she's part of the Phantasmic show.
Yes,
like her. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like the Maleficent love, and I know a lot of people that have a lot of respect for her.
Yeah.
But the film, I think she's one that has risen above her film somehow, and is her own entity.
Yeah, she doesn't have a huge role within the film. But the dragon is very iconic.
At the end, yeah.
She's very iconic. Sleeping Beauty as an idea, I think, is very iconic. So
but as the movie
I
itself,
perhaps think as the character, okay, maybe there's an argument for being a little bit overrated in that sense. But
yes.
if you watch the film, her scene, she's just cold. She's kind of the Cruella de Vil, coldness with power.
Well, I would say it sounds like, too, she's kind of what's interesting about a more lackluster film.
Perhaps. Well, a lot of people don't feel that way. It's a classic to a lot of people, but you and I happen to feel that's not as fleshed out.
I don't know many people, though, that are like Sleeping Beauty all the way. Not many.
I mean, I don't think
I know they're out there. But.
Modern, more close to our age and our generations. Perhaps, but you go back, and historians, I think people kind of look at Sleeping Beauty and see it for the landmark it truly is. But it was a different time when they made the film, and it's.
What year was it?
It was 1959.
Whew.
1959. So we're going way back there. We're going way back. So that all being said, the character design is cool. She's very iconic. I like what she says. I like just the just pure evil I feel she is, and that's what sells me.
You had a majority females. 3 out of 5?
Yep, 3 out of 5. Yeah, but there's a lot of female villains.
I mean, I know. I think female villains are fascinating and wonderful. I had 2, so.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of female villains within the animated films.
I wonder what, statistics, if it's 50-50. I don't know. I
mean, I thought about Jafar, Hans, I thought about. Captain Hook, I thought about, but they're pretty even split. But the female villains, for some reason, are much more stick in my mind as better
That's
villains.
Great.
I mean, it's 60% of my of the 5, so it's really pretty evenly split. But
they tend to dig into the psyche of the I don't know. I think of Cruella. Ursula. She gets into Ariel's mind and messes with her. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus maybe
the brute strength
the guys
of some other things.
are a little more just cutthroat.
But I would argue Jafar is kind of it manipulates it with the best one too. So we could point out that I think they're all
do an analysis
of evilness. Yeah, I mean a villain is a villain. A good villain is a good villain. And I think all the ones we've
But they come at it from different ways.
Yes,
humor,
for sure. I said this before.
Brute strength.
A good villain it doesn't matter how they're a villain as long as they're a good villain. So these
you
are
remember them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems with the Marvel movies, which I love most of them, not all of them, most of them, is the villains are are the weak link in most of the Marvel movies. It's interesting that I still love them, despite the fact that the villains, in most cases, are the weakest link to the films. So, I mentioned Loki being one of the few exceptions. So, but I digress. Your number one, which I know what it is.
Yes,
yeah.
My number one is Scar from The Lion King, voiced by Jeremy Irons, as we have mentioned, 1994, and
Eleanor Audley, by the way, on Maleficent. I can't.
Oh,
sorry, my apologies.
No. Yeah,
Eleanor, who's probably long gone at this point. So
maybe not. Maybe she's still around.
Right. Sorry, Scar.
Scar. Yeah, he was kind of my clear cut, no questions number one, and I think he wins, I guess you could say, or takes the number one spot because he does. I don't know if any of these villains we're talking about straight up arranges a murder. I mean, he's like twisted bad of his own brother and makes his nephew watch it. It's just like twisted for so many reasons. And I think the voice performance is bar none one of the best in animation that we have. And for me personally, seeing it as a young child in 1994, no other film like messed with me so much to the point where I refused to watch it for about like 6 or 7 years. Like we owned it and I just said, no, I can't go there. Like it was too sad and messed up. And that all lies with Scar. So I think he also messed me up as a child.
He left a scar, if you will.
Ooh,
right?
Nice pun.
Right. Interesting.
Well done. Well said.
You're welcome. Is that a pun? Is that a pun?
I guess it's not a pun.
I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Left a scar. I don't know. But the trivia I was going to share is that the animators were so impressed with Iron's performance that they worked his features into Scar's face. So now you got to rewatch Lion King and have an image of Jeremy Irons to consult with while viewing the film.
It's another example of a great actor bringing how they bring their voice performance to life through animation. It seems like it couldn't be possible, but time and time again, it's proven. Yeah.
And I think people, maybe like a layman seeing the film, just thinks, oh, they're just like saying things in an angry voice. But like, no, there's so much depth there and so many layers. And he has all these variations he plays. I don't know. I think it seems easier maybe to all of us, but it's really hard. And yeah.
I'd love to do voiceover someday, but I don't think it's easy.
Ditto.
I'm not a voiceover, I'm not an actor, but to me it's pretty cool to see your voice bring a character to life. That would be a kind of a bucket list thing.
It's cool.
Think, to do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
So, well, that's your number
Listen
one.
to our voices
right?
if you like them. People out there. We can do variations. We're just playing ourselves here. I mean, we can.
I'm sure Briers has many more than I have. So
we can. I don't know what
I like
to say.
I like to do like Miss Piggy for my kids.
So now you have to do that. Go.
No, I'm not going to do that now. But
Rick,
I don't know if I could do it.
You're letting the fans down.
Kermie, it's moi.
There you
go. Got off track there at the end. There you go. Okay. That is
good job. I put you on the spot.
You did, and I
well
decided
done.
to do it.
Don't put me on the spot.
I
don't have any voices.
Notice I
just have.
You speak
but
French.
It's a non-Disney voice, so it wouldn't count.
Okay.
So
I guess Miss Piggy is
Disney
now.
Yeah,
right?
keeping
Look
it
at
in
that.
the family.
I just did it randomly. Okay. All right.
Mouse would be proud.
Okay. Good. Or the frog.
I don't know what to say.
So anyway, if you guys have any comments or your own lists at the Disney Click. Hashtag
Top 5 Disney Click.
Right.
Say it together.
Or hashtag the Disney Click too.
Either one.
We'll get it.
Either one.
Right. We're not picky here.
No, we're breezy. I hope.
When you say you're breezy, you can't be breezy. That's the rule. We're casual.
Yeah, cool.
We're
I'm chill.
just
I'm laid back.
That's the opposite. So yeah. So there we have it. Let's go on to the next thing.
And now we go deep within the Disney Vault.
Okay, our next segment is kind of unique. We've never done anything like this. It's just very specific. We have this Steve Birnbaum 1990 Walt Disney World official guidebook. So this would be, if you're taking the family in 1990, and it was actually copyright 89. So some stuff hadn't even, broken ground.
And if this is not the first edition, these are going even several years before that, by the way. They're this is not the world of online publishing where things could be changed instantly. These things could be around for several years.
Yeah. And on the cover, it's great. It says it includes Epcot Center. So Epcot was Epcot Center, which I found interesting. And the Disney MGM Studios theme park.
As we
quite a
refer to
mouthful.
Disney MGM Studio, we talk about.
Yeah, we always
Still
talk
to
about
this
how
day.
it used to be, and I love the fonts that they had back then, and even the Walt Disney World font. Again, we'll try to get this up on Twitter and Instagram as mentioned, but
This is pre-Animal
nice
Kingdom.
and vintage. Yeah, pre Animal Kingdom, and poor MGM, as we'll find out, was bare bones. But I would have been into it as a film person.
It still is bare bones right now.
Well, then it was, I don't know,
Really
muscle tissue.
bare bones.
It was nothing.
It had opened up how much? I mean, it was
because it opened in '89.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yes,
it's
it was
brand
open
new.
less than a year when this book was
Right.
written. So, not on Disney. I know they're slow, according to you building stuff. Also, Steve, or in the intro at one point, the park is referred to as Walt Disney World Vacation Kingdom, which I had never heard that, and I was like, that's weird. And what?
Which is referred to as that? What?
All of Walt Disney World.
Okay.
Is Walt Disney World Vacation Kingdom.
Isn't that kind of repeating yourself? I mean,
yeah, it's a little redundant.
Redundant. That's the word I was looking for.
Look at
Thank you.
that. I had a word for you.
Right, yeah.
So I thought it would just be fun to start with kind of what's popping for if you go back in time with something like this, and that's price point. And so, do you want to? I haven't told you any of this.
No,
correct?
I don't know
price wise. So take a guess. For Magic Kingdom, just to get in the one park.
Which
this
is the
is
most
not
expensive
a hopper.
park now. I know that.
Mm-hmm. One day for an adult.
How much would it cost?
$19.90.
Boy, I will guess. I'm gonna guess 35.
That's pretty good.
Is it?
That's pretty good.
What is it?
You're gonna get a discounted rate. It's $29.
Okay. All right.
It's pretty good. And then a child, 3 to 9 years old, would be $23.
Wow. Could you imagine those prices today?
I mean, I was thinking now you can go in the park and for $29 get a decent meal that might not include tip, like to put it in a little bit of perspective. So to compare,
there's inflation, mind you.
Yeah, I mean, this is 25
factor.
years of inflation, but it is crazy to think you could
for
just
sure.
lay down $29 and get in the park. So yeah, I can only imagine what meals were. They have all the restaurants listed. They don't have their price point for the menu. A 1-day ticket to Magic Kingdom Park today would be $105. That's a non-hopper.
Just a one day,
one park,
Right.
$105.
Okay.
So
it's
what
increased
is that?
a little bit. It's over 3 times. It's about
$76 increase.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you could get your entire family in for the price you would pay for one ticket. Good times.
Wow.
Good times.
That's nuts.
And then with the hotels, this is steeper. This is crazy. I mean, I thought the park was bad. The hotels are where they really have just
gone
gone
through the roof.
crazy,
Right.
especially with the top tier ones.
Can I guess the Grand Floridian? Is that what do you have Grand Floridian?
Yes, I have Grand Floridian and Polynesian, both the 1990 price and
I'm gonna
2015.
guess per night.
Which
The
one do you
problem
do?
is there's-
Grand Floridian.
I'll do Grand Floridian. Is this the
So this is
average price per night?
This is a standard, just one room, standard off season.
Off season.
Or wait, did I do on season? I think I did off.
Okay. We'll pretend it's off season and lie to the listener if it's not. Off season, I'm going to guess.
In 1990.
Right. Boy, I'm going to guess 129 per night.
Shot a little low this time. 195
Okay.
to 265.
Oh, okay. So it's way
I'm
low.
still thinking, I'm like, actually, it was already just expensive even 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's
that's
expensive.
a lot for
That's pricey.
for 19. Even now, that's a pretty penny. So now, if you want to stay at the Grand Floridian, the starting price is $635.
It's crazy.
AKA,
it's a beautiful hotel.
throw college tuition
Yeah, right?
and everything out the window.
It's a beautiful hotel,
Live your life,
but it's
YOLO.
like it's not cheap. That is not cheap. I mean, that's
No.
like that's like California prices.
I mean,
for,
that's like you
for
can go
nice
stay
hotels.
at
Four
a
Seasons,
nice hotel on like Maui or
right?
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a high price.
Right.
And then the Polynesian. Do you want to guess Polynesian?
The Polynesian, it's just a touch
little more
less.
affordable.
Yeah, say a little less. I'd say 150.
170 to 225.
Okay.
A suite, if you're interested, if you have a time machine and want to go back to 1990 and get a suite, that would range between 210 and 550. So I guess if you're getting up there with rooms,
the 550 has to be a pretty big.
yeah,
room
maybe
at that
you're
point.
accommodating like
Right.
a large family. And the Polynesian today, 567.
Yeah.
So again, just throw your money.
Look, I mean,
away. Just
that's-
put it in a trash
but
can.
back-
Who needs money?
Back then, I imagine that it's not. It was a little more of a deal back then, but it still was very expensive back then.
Yeah.
Let's not. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a little bit apples to oranges now.
Well, they
but-
did though. So doing the comparisons of the 25 years, they only had. It looks like, I mean, some are like mixed together, but about 8 hotels total. I mean, or resorts in total. So you had the Contemporary, Polynesian, Grand Floridian, the Disney Inn, which was a Snow White themed, I had never heard of, starting at 155. So pretty good deal there if you want to stay at the Disney Inn. Caribbean Beach Resort, Disney's Yacht and Beach Club Resort, Disney's Village Resort Villas, and the Fort Wilderness Campground Resort. But I
Wow.
had never heard of the Disney Inn, and I want to look more into it. Or if anyone ever stayed there, tweet us, leave a comment on Instagram. Yeah, a Snow White themed. It must have been short-lived and then renovated. Like
right.
something
it couldn't
didn't
have been,
click.
So. Yeah.
Or I wonder if it was maybe knocked down and that's where they built Animal Kingdom or something. That poor Disney Inn, never heard of it.
I wonder. Yeah. I don't know. I was there. When I first went down there to stay as a little youngin, I stayed at the Polynesian, and I mean, we talked about. I loved the Polynesian, and I've never stayed. That's the only time I've ever stayed at the Polynesian since that one time. There's just so many options now, and I tend generally, if I had a lot of money, okay, maybe I'd opt there. But I think I'm just as happy staying at a lot of the other resorts now and not paying the price of the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian.
We were big into the you remember what they call the sports one? They had the sports complex.
Yeah, the All-Stars.
The All-Star.
Yeah. That's where I stayed last time, I
that
think.
was our
No, 2 times ago.
go-to.
They're so cheap. I'm not a big fan of those, the economy. I don't like the idea of showering in the same place. If I'm on a cruise ship, it's one thing, but
Which
in a
one is
hotel
that?
room, well, when we stayed over a decade there now, we stayed at one of those.
Okay.
And granted, we had a room right off the main pool. It was really crowded. The room was clean and inadequate, but the bathroom was very much like there was a drain in the middle of the floor, and the shower took up like half the
interesting.
bathroom, and it felt like you were showering in the same place. It was
Yeah.
you don't spend a lot of time, or we weren't at that time spending a lot of time in the room, so it wasn't a big deal. But now I'm a little bit older. I kind of like a little bit more. I don't need big comfort, but a little more comfort than what they provided me.
We stayed one time at Dixie Landings, which did not exist in 1990 and is no more now.
Yeah, it doesn't
I think it
exist
closed
anymore.
in the late 90s.
It's Port Orleans now, right?
Yes, I think it closed for PC reasons, or was renovated. And that was a really nice, like mid-level, it's a little above the All-Stars, but not the Polynesian or any of these. But really fun and nice, had a lot of acreage. We still have our like plastic mugs that they gave us, and my dad like loves to repeat to us that he got if you bought those mugs for maybe like $5 or $7 or whatever, it was free drinks for your whole week. You were there. You could go to the soda fountain and fill up on Coca-Cola or whatever. And he loved that. He's like, kids, get your mugs and just fill up. And he was like, we're saving so much money. And they would never do that today because they can get so much money out of you for drinks.
They have a situation. When I was there, I think about four
free refills?
plus years ago, you had a certain cup around the resort. I believe you bought a cup and you could get free refills around the resort. I don't know.
I wonder how much it is now, if it's like $20 or $25 for
I'm
that
sure
deal.
those who've been to Disney World more recently than we have would tell us.
Yes.
But I remember there being something.
See, I see them discontinuing that
Yeah, I
and
don't
being
know.
like, ooh, where else can
There
we
might have
get
been a
another
microchip.
dollar
There
in?
might be a microchip in the
You
bottom of
max
the cup
out.
that allows them to judge when a certain day ends. You can't do it anymore. I don't remember exactly.
They did not have that. Well, yeah.
Okay.
There were no microchips
All right. Well,
in the 90s.
Right.
So yeah, I'll just briefly go through each park and kind of talk about fun things that existed that I'd never heard of, having not even gone this, or I never even went in 1990. So in Magic Kingdom, there was something called Mickey's Birthday Land, and in October of 1988, to celebrate Mickey's 60th, Walt Disney World created Mickey's Birthday Land, a special addition to the Magic Kingdom that covered a 3-acre site adjacent to Fantasyland. So I believe it's what turned into
the expanded Fantasyland.
Is this what turned into Toontown? Or maybe they moved it.
Know.
But from the description, it sounds like it was his house and a little more involved. Like there were performances and jugglers and things. It just sounded so cheesy. Mickey's Birthday Land.
I'm sure a lot of the stuff is
and he was
cheesy.
big for the 10 and under crowd.
And Disney can be pretty cheesy in some spots too.
This is just interesting. I'm like, interesting.
Right.
They're sitting around a boardroom and they're like, we got to celebrate Mickey's birthday.
Let's create
Pay
Mickey's
homage
Birthday
to the
Land.
mouse. Yeah.
Of course.
Maybe it's the name that they didn't do a good job with.
Doesn't have a lot of
Birthday
imagination
Land.
to it, does it?
Yeah.
But what do we know? It's a lot harder to come up with good things.
It's no more.
Yeah,
It's
gone.
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know if I think it transformed into Toontown, or they were inspired by its popularity and it became Toontown.
Right.
That's my guess.
Okay.
Skyway to Tomorrowland was still there in 1990. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I mentioned that recently.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that was a childhood favorite of mine.
I never went on it.
Now, I mean, the subs are not one of my favorites now, but that was, as a kid, that left an impression on me.
And it's located in Fantasyland.
Right. Near Autotopia. I know it's in Tomorrowland, but I always remember going to...
You're talking about Disneyland.
Disney World.
It's
in
Fantasyland.
No, the Autotopia cars are in... Where are they in Walt Disney World? I thought that was in Tomorrowland in Walt Disney World.
They are as well. I don't know.
So I just remember going
long.
from the subs to Autotopia cars in Walt Disney World.
Okay.
So I don't know where they are now, but that's not our home park anymore.
Right.
So, Disneyland, I could tell you. Disney World, it's a little harder.
Mission to Mars was still there. Which I never did. You did that Mission to Mars?
Yeah, I don't remember it very well, but I did do it. I was there.
And then some of the live entertainment was interesting. I mean, you still had your Dapper Dans, but then some things. Kids of the Kingdom, Fantasy in the Sky was the fireworks show.
Yeah, that one's
you remember that?
One. Yeah, I mean, that's just one that's talked about a lot. So
and the main
the
street.
fireworks kind of blend together to me. By the way, the new one in the 60th anniversary fireworks are special and different.
Yeah,
but a lot of them kind of blend together for me. So
the Main Street Electrical Parade was going on at this time.
Yeah, I love that.
Which is cool. We got a great.
Definitely saw that. Ooh,
showing him the picture.
Yeah, look at that.
This
is enticing podcast viewing, listening.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I love
but
that.
So Magic Kingdom, out of all these parks, hands down, least amount of changes.
Okay.
I mean, there's still some big ones with like Skyway and stuff, but pretty much established. You've got all your main rides: Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain. We move into Epcot and things get a little more like, this is a different park 25 years ago.
The Epcot of 25 years ago.
It's called Epcot Center to begin with. It has a different name.
And frankly, that one I would put that up against what Epcot is now. Right?
Yeah,
Epcot
yeah.
Center.
And I actually find this one more intriguing.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot.
Well, there's more going on. It's newer.
More. They got rid of a lot of stuff.
Well, I think the Future World part really, I think the World Showcase is, but the Future World doesn't have, I don't know. It was dated. Maybe a lot of the things they had there were dated. Now and they get rid of them.
We have a little cartoon Figment lingering throughout, just to remind us that Journey into Imagination still existed.
We'll have to take some pictures of these and put them up on the social media stuff.
For sure. Love the black and white photos. You had Future World. I love that they start all of Epcot. There's a picture of Figment and the Dreamfinder, because I think the Dreamfinder must have just been lurking around.
Creepy man
Epcot
with the beard, right?
Is he creepy or is he your friend? We don't know.
We don't know.
Does he talk? Does he
hope
speak English? I feel like he's
friend.
German or something, and he's like doesn't even speak English. Which
I hope he's not a special friend. I mean, this is Disney we're talking about here, okay?
And you were saying that Magic Kingdom was the cheapest, but I think actually here they have the prices as the same if you're doing a single day hop.
No, I never said Magic Kingdom was the most expensive. Now it's Magic Kingdom's the most expensive.
Oh, so now you pay more for it.
For Magic Kingdom,
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, you have Future World, the Land. Do you remember the Land?
Is this the one where you go through and you get to see them growing things? Like there's agriculture you're seeing?
That's Listen to the Land.
But it's part of the
So
land.
the land is its own overarching area.
Okay.
And then within it, I was most intrigued by Kitchen Cabaret. It's Cabaret with a K. And let me just read, and I'm sure there'll be some listeners out there that remember this. And there's a picture. Bonnie Appetit is the star of this zany show about good nutrition. Each of the 4 acts focuses on one of the main food groups: dairy products, fruits and vegetables, meats and proteins,
and cookies.
And grains and cereals.
Cookies.
Close.
Oh, okay.
No cookies.
Darn. I don't like this.
I mean, yeah, no, there's a moment where you're like, am I at Disney? I think as a kid, I might have been, like, it's hysterical now to look and see, like, this was a ride. Hosted by
it was really about educating.
Yeah.
People.
They were trying.
I mean, it was popular for a while, and I think, as I said, I think they've gone away
5
from
and
that a little
unders
bit.
would get really into this. They're like, the food's talking to me. This is cool. But I think after that, kids are like, this is silly.
There were a lot of cool things I was at
Harvest
I was
tour.
at Epcot.
You're thinking of the Harvest
tour.
tour.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I was at Epcot this time. It was I liked Epcot. It wasn't as fantastical as the Magic Kingdom was, but you know.
Captain EO, which has made its return a lot to Tomorrowland.
It's gone now in Disneyland.
In Disneyland.
I think it's rumored to be going away in Walt Disney World if it's not already.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I know it's gone in Disneyland.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The ImageWorks, World of Motion, all of. I mean, there were just all these little almost. Like tiny little rides all like under these different pavilions. This is interesting how much Epcot had going on in the early days. And now I really feel like, I don't know, they've let it maybe focus to the pavilion.
It's World Showcase, the Eating at World Showcase and Test Track and Soarin'. And then everything else I feel like is sort of fallen by the wayside.
And
I mean,
still
the Living Seas
the
with
ride
Nemo
the main one.
Yeah, the Spaceship Earth.
Yes, which was here.
Yeah,
it has been updated
there's
greatly.
Cool things, but there's nothing that's like there's not a lot of thrills and things to do if you're not into food and drink and a couple of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
I like World Showcase, as I said, but as a park, the rest of it is sort of like not as intriguing.
Yeah, it's just like there was so much. There was Horizons, Wonders of Life, which held Body Wars. Cranium Command, then you have the Universe of Energy. I mean, Epcot is kind of never Communicore East. I can't even keep up with, there was so much. So yeah, it makes me, I give Epcot a hard time, but it had a lot going on in the 90s.
It was a cool park. It needs some TLC now, but it was a great park. I don't know. There's no other place within a theme park that I'd rather go to eat than at World Showcase. Mm-hmm. That's what it still has, but everything else, it's it's just too far and few between once you get away from the World Showcase and eating there and drinking and all the that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So and
it's interesting how much there was.
And MGM Studios.
Yes, last but certainly not least, Disney MGM Studios theme park. As Chairman Michael Eisner said when it officially opened, "Welcome to the Hollywood that never was and always will be." Which kind of is like...
That's kind of contradicting.
Yeah, contradictory.
Right?
You're like, is that possible, Michael? I'm confused.
It's Disney. Of course it is.
Yeah, it doesn't
magic,
exist,
but
it's
does.
Always here. I like it. And it still had the water tower known as the Earful Tower.
Right.
And the guidebook, I actually was reading a little bit of what he was actually saying in terms of his guiding you into the park. He said the extent to which guests can participate in the attractions stood out to him at MGM Studios. And I think that was maybe early on, they were really trying to make it like participate, be a part of the acting. Or
they wanted to be Hollywood East. They really had designs to have it be Los Angeles, Hollywood in Florida.
I believe Lilo and Stitch and Brother Bear were made in the park on a soundstage.
Right. But I'm guessing what they ran into is you have a pool of talent and people feed off each other, and it really works better back then having them in all one place. So there's business meetings, and we didn't have the communication ability that we have now to get things done across the computers and all that sort of thing. So I think eventually people didn't want to go to Florida. The creative talent didn't want to be in Florida, and it made economic sense also to be in LA, and it just that part of it fizzled out a little bit.
Which is a bummer. But yeah, the park had so little going on at this time. Again, as we mentioned earlier, it had barely been opened a year when this book was written.
The great movie ride, your favorite, right?
It did. It had the great movie ride. It had no Tower of Terror.
No Rock and Roller Coaster.
No Rock and Roller Coaster.
Phantasmic.
No Star Tours.
No
Phantasmic.
Toy Story
It didn't
Mania.
have that whole. If you look at the map, I'll hand it over to you. You know how usually you walk in and you make a right immediately to go on all the fun rides.
The Hollywood Boulevard.
None of
Sunset
that was
Boulevard.
there. Which is, I mean, again, it's the early stages of a park that.
It was really the backlot tour was the big thing, the great movie ride.
And it was so good then. Just everything. The backlot tour was so much more involved. So some other things that were interesting that I found, and we actually had a fan mention this on Instagram, I believe. And I had never heard of this until reading about it in this book and hearing them bring it up. Superstar Television, and it gives you the opportunity to have a role in a famous television show. The roles are up for grabs. While waiting in line, they choose people. And the entire attraction took about 45 minutes, which I like that. I think it's fun when you settle into something. And I guess if there's not much else going on at the park, 45-minute attraction doesn't sound too bad.
One of my favorite memories of going to Universal Studios Hollywood as a young kid is there was this show.
The Earthquake.
No.
Oh.
It was a show where they cast a lot of the audience members to be within this making a film, a special effects film thing. And I got cast as one of the Blues Brothers, and we got the pies in the face and going through the driving in the mall, and I still have the video, so it's on VHS somewhere. But that was one of my favorite memories. And this sounds maybe a little bit in that.
And I remember a Universal trip as a child when we were acting out an earthquake scene in a movie, and the guy was looking for volunteers, and my dad tried to volunteer my mom, and who did not want to go up, and the man taking volunteers took pity on my mom and made my dad come up. And we as kids just lost our minds. We were dying laughing. We thought it was so hysterical. He had to go up when he was trying to volunteer her. And so it's just interesting how these kind of memories, I mean, as much fun. We love Tower of Terror. We love Rock and Roller Coaster, but we've been on it so many times that you don't have as distinctive memories. And a ride like this is a true experience that, if someone in your party that you're going with, whether it's family, friends, or your immediate family gets called up, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. You're talking about it.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
unique to your family, and it feels unique. Even though thousands and thousands of people have done it before you, it just feels all about
so
you.
special.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, there's definitely another level of how intrinsic that memory is.
But that's all that was in that park. Just doesn't have much going on at this point. It just opened up.
It had a lot more. So I guess they had an animation building where you could walk through and see animators working on films. And there was something called the Monster Sound Show, which gave guests the opportunity to create the sound effects for a short film. So a lot more kind of sit in a theater, take it in, be a part of it. A lot more immersive, like what we're talking about. So it felt like it was just an entirely different park, just like how Epcot was a learning park. It was like MGM was a film park where you got to participate in making movies. And now both those parks are kind of just veering into attractions, rides. Yeah. Get on the ride, get off the ride.
Right. That's
your photo taken.
There's still shows and things, but it's definitely a different world we're living in, and the demands are different, and things evolve as we've seen. This park today would not.
Last shout out, River Country. Isn't that
there
you?
You go, right?
River Country's in here with a great visual
for the brain eating.
Yeah, the kids
creatures.
look happy. Look like they made it through without getting infected.
Most did, Briers. Most did.
That's good. Good for them.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to think about. 25 years is a long time, but at the same time, so much, the parks are entirely different.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. So, that's illuminating, to say the least, that this was our Walt Disney World not too long ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like a long time ago, but it's really, a lot changes each decade. And so when I joke about, or when I say I'm frustrated with Disney not doing anything there for 10 years, 10 years is a lifetime in park speak. So I'm happy they're doing things now, but it's to not do any, no e-ticket rides and and that.
You step back and see what they've done in 25 years. It's
a lot,
but I feel like.
But I think I have a right as a parko to expect more than what Disney World has given us.
See, I think that
that's just
I think we come at it from different angles. I don't know.
Yeah, I
feel like they've done a lot, but
not enough recently, but they're doing it now. They're
doing
rectifying
a
it
lot,
now.
But they
So
can't build forever. They can't buy
no, but
Florida
I think they can build constantly within park and give us something every few years, something significant every few years.
forever.
I certainly look if they have a time where it
For
takes
the rest of
4 or
time?
5 years. If you take every 3 years to give us something significant, I think that's reasonable to expect. I'm not saying every year. I'm not even saying every 2 years.
I don't know.
Just something significant.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they have enough money to do it.
Then
They
I
have
get
the brain
upset when
power.
they change so much. Like I look back at this Epcot and I'm like, I don't know. I want to go on the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean,
ride.
they don't have infinite space or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
there are some rides and things that don't need to be around anymore. They have empty pavilions sitting at Epcot right now, so they have the space without taking something away at Epcot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyway,
Well, if you have any of your own opinions, old rides you remember, attractions you miss, be sure to share it with us on Instagram at the Disney Click, as well as on Twitter at the Disney Click.
so with one more thing, we have some sad news here from our friend Briers, and
Yes.
I'll let you go from here.
Yes, some sad news. Unfortunately, this is my last episode as a full-time co-host with Rick. I've just had to assess my schedule and things with acting and just being busy with classes, and decided that I'm going to have to take a step back from the podcast. It was a weighted decision, not easy one to make, and I've really loved my time here and love Disney and getting to explore things I'm passionate about, such as Pixar. I know people know that, but then also, to delve more into the Marvel universe and things that I don't know as much about. It's just all been a really great experience, and one I will treasure. So, and I'm also just really grateful to all the fans that we've developed out there, all the listeners. So I'm really grateful, and I hope I can come back.
It's like an Oscar speech. I like it. You are.
I've been
welcome.
practicing my Oscar speeches.
You are welcome back anytime. We are, of course, sorry that Briers is leaving, but for good reason, and hopefully you will not be the last you've heard of Briers outside of on this podcast. And we are as well taking a little hiatus. It's the holiday season, and with Briers leaving, we have to reorganize a little bit. So we hope you guys will stick with us between now and the next time. It's
go
been
back
fun,
and listen to all 21 episodes,
right.
and
That's right.
yeah, review them.
21 episodes doesn't sound like a lot, but it's
21 weeks sounds like a lot.
we put it that way, right?
It's an episode a week.
Every week.
Time wise,
we managed to put one every week, and that's something that I didn't think we were going to be able to pull off with Briers and I, but we've done it, and we've really enjoyed it, and a lot of some prep.
I've enjoyed the banter. I've enjoyed you as a co-host for sure.
I think I've enjoyed you as a co-host.
That might not come across sometimes because we like
like each other.
We like to go at it, but that's what's fun.
Yeah, Briers and I always say that we. There's some work and research. Believe it or not, that doesn't always sound like it. But after the work and research, which sometimes is tough and hard with our schedules, that we always our favorite thing, hands down, is getting in the podcast room and
yes,
and
once our producer says rolling, that's when the fun starts.
That's what we really enjoy.
Yeah.
I think I'll certainly miss having Briers right across from me on the podcast. But
thank you. I will miss having you across from me. Not what?
Not being abused by me, right?
No,
Okay.
It's fun.
Okay.
Because then I get to abuse you
That's
back.
That's true. You're good at that.
You are good at it
We like
too.
each other.
Yeah, we do like each other.
We beat up on each other, but like each other too.
Yeah, it's all love.
Yes. We challenge each other. I would say so.
Yes.
So best of
to watch
luck,
more
Briers.
Marvel movies.
And you'll. I have a feeling Briers will step in here and there.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm going to World in a few weeks here, and I can finally feel like I have all these built up assessments, and I know Disneyland so well now because I go so often. I'm really excited. I'm going to be constantly like, okay, there's an extra drop here on Pirates. I'm going to be hyper aware. I'm excited.
And I want to hear from those of you, I know we have at least a handful of people who listen. I want to know kind of what you want to hear in the future and what's important to you. And we're listening, and just we have some
I'm
ideas.
so appreciative.
And things,
Everything that everyone's written back is really fun and
it's been really cool
and great to hear.
Yeah, we
appreciate
appreciate
a lot
it.
of positive support.
We don't. While we enjoy talking about this, we like to know that we have people listening and feel like we're not just talking to hear ourselves talk.
Yes.
So
it's neat to see fans reacting and getting engaged and feeling, that Disney connection and liking what we say or just being, intrigued by it.
Right.
We don't ever claim to say,
Right. Yeah. It's okay. We can take it.
Yes. Be honest.
So this is that's it. Well, I hope everybody has a great holiday.
Yes.
And a great
Happy
New
holidays.
Year.
Happy New Year.
And we will see you sometime, hopefully soon, in the new year.
Yes.
We'll talk to you then.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
The Disney Click is a Meltdown Presents production, produced by Terri Lubaroff and Mason Booker. Audio engineer, the miracle worker, Mason Booker, with your hosts, Rick Lubaroff and Briers Newman. Our theme song, King of the Swingers, is performed by the Swing Ninjas and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Jazzy Frenchie is our break music and can be found on bensound.com. End credit music Dill Pickles is performed by the Heftone Banjo Orchestra and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Don't forget to tweet us at The Disney Click. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Disney Click. Use the hashtag Top5 Disney Click to share your own Top 5.